Eko Atlantic City is a visionary project in Lagos, Nigeria, located adjacent to Victoria Island and Lekki. It will measure a total of 10 million square meters of reclaimed land when fully completed. It has rapidly transformed the coastline into a world-class destination that showcases the true potential of urban development. Privately funded by South Energy X Nigeria Limited and designed as a sustainable and futuristic city, Eko Atlantic boasts a remarkable array of amenities and infrastructure, offering an unparalleled living experience. Now let's look at the history of Eko Atlantic. Eko Atlantic City was birthed in 2003 as a solution to environmental hazards arising from the perennial flooding of the Lagos Bar Beach. For many years, the Lagos Bar Beach had developed a reputation for overflowing its bank and claiming lives and property. Many times, the Ahmadu Bello Way, the road closest to its bank, was closed for safety reasons. Studies showed that between 14 to 8 meters of beachfront were eroded annually along the Bar Beach. In 2003, the idea of a modern city on the Atlantic coast was publicly discussed. It would be a reclaimed land that would be sited on what used to be the Bar Beach. It will be called Eko Atlantic City, a residential and business district standing, or rather sitting, on 10 million square meters of land reclaimed from the ocean and protected by an 8.5 kilometer long sea wall called the Great Wall of Lagos. In 2005, the then Lagos State Governor, now President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a letter addressed to President Olusegun Obasanjo, the president as at then, entitled Permanent Solution to the Bar Beach, sought the latter's approval for the reclamation of the coastal land on behalf of a private investor that would convert the liability to an asset that would benefit Lagos State and the Nigerian people at large. That private investor was South Energy X Nigeria Limited, the developers and city planner, a subsidiary of the Nigerian-based Chaguri Group of companies, working in strategic partnership with the Lagos State government and supported by the federal government of Nigeria. In the same year, President Olusegun Obasanjo gave an approval for the commencement of the project. The approval was on the condition that the development project be strictly supervised to ensure that it did not stray beyond the confines of the law, as well as the gambit of the approval given to the company. In 2008, the construction of the new city began, and as at May 2009 of the next year, while the site was being dredged, about 3 million cubic meters of space were sand-filled and placed in the reclamation area, while about 35,000 tons of rock were delivered to the site. Presently, 6,520,000 square meters of land out of the estimated 10 million square meters has been reclaimed, with the Great Wall of Lagos having reached 6.8 kilometers in length out of the total length of 8.6 kilometers. It is almost 20 years later, and infrastructural development has achieved substantial completion in phases 1 and 2. Both phases a total combined area of 5 million square meters, with a high portion of the road network already defined, with curb lines and block paving together with sidewalk, street lighting, and planted trees. Infrastructural development in phase 3 is also underway, and 14 major bridges are fully complete. Utility services comprising stormwater drainage, sewer drainage, water supply, electrical power distribution, and fiber optic cable network for IT services are in full progress alongside road works. Eko Atlantic City is entering the next and final phase of its land reclamation efforts, and the sand filling process for the phase 4 of the project will commence immediately after the completion of phase 3 and extend towards its designated area. The construction of infrastructure and buildings is progressing steadily across phases 1, 2, 3. But despite these great strides and enormous progress with functional structures like the Eko Pearl Tower, Azuri Peninsula, Eko Energy Estate, among others, many Nigerians believe it is still a largely failed project, as enormous portions of the city remain empty and not fully functional. Many proposed projects are still in the conception stage and haven't even broken ground. A lot more land is still available for sale and unsold, and it's a far cry from the vision of 300,000 residents and 200,000 daily commuters in the city. Now let's explore some of the reasons why this is largely the case and why Eko Atlantic has remained empty all of these years, despite the investment and all the efforts and the promise and hope it held some 20 years ago. Number 1, the cost of land in Eko Atlantic. The cost of a plot of land is dependent on its size and location in Eko Atlantic. Land is sold per square meter, and plot sizes in phase 1 and phase 2 start from approximately 2,200 square meters. That's the least you can buy. And prices per square meters within this phase starts from $1,150 per square meter. In phase 3, land within this phase starts from approximately 1,200 square meters. That's the least you can buy, mainly for low-rise residential houses where the land prices are at $1,050 per square meter. There is no maximum capping on the amount of land that can be purchased. Each plot of land can be used for a residential or commercial development, or a mix of both, as Eko Atlantic is designed to be a mixed-use city. It is important to bear in mind that plots in phases 1 and 2 have been created to accommodate mid to high-rise buildings, and in phase 3, some plots have been created to accommodate single residential dwellings and low-rise developments. Land in the Marina district can go as high as $30,000 per square meter. This may be a major reason why investors are shying away from this project, as it seems to be at the upper section of the market in this axis. So many people may not be able to afford these steep prices of land, and maybe one of the reasons why Eko Atlantic has remained empty these years. The number 2 reason is no payment plans available. Coupled with how expensive land is in Eko Atlantic, they do not seem to have a flexible payment plan where investors can put in an initial deposit and spread the rest over a long time frame. This means you need to have the entire cash upfront, and very few people can make the entire commitment of at least $1 million in one sitting. The number 3 reason why this project seems to have been failing or not proceeding at the pace that Nigerians would have thought is that it may just be too big to handle. If you speak to lots of developers, you would know, especially private developers, that developing a large part or a large portion of land can get very, very difficult in a hurry because there are so many moving parts. The truth of the matter is Eko Atlantic might just be too big to manage for a lone private firm like South Energy X. How do you manage and deliver a project of 10 million square meters? Even though you could make the case for Eko Atlantic located at the Central Business District VI and ocean facing, but do some quick math. At least $1,000 per square meters out of 10 million square meters of land would equal $10 billion in sales alone. Bear in mind some phases cost way more than that. Then you factor infrastructure. Who can fund it? For context, Nigeria is currently seeking $1.5 billion from the World Bank by the end of 2003 to shore up its economy. How possible is it that one project will attract $10 billion investment in sales alone, excluding infrastructure? Number 4 reason, mounting debt by developer South Energy X. Following from the above and insider information, reports allege that mounting external debt by the developer has made it impossible for infrastructural development to proceed at the required pace. Coupled with Nigeria's foreign exchange woes over the past 8 years, servicing those debts and moving forward with infrastructure development in such a large portion of land may as well be an undertaking doomed from the start. This would explain the slow pace of work. And number 5, another reason why the project seems to be taking so much time is that there is no development timeline guideline for investors. Eko Atlantic has a very lax policy on development. Investors can purchase land and choose to allow it sit for however long. This means that you cannot predict development and might encourage land speculation, as developers or investors might buy land and hold off development for as long as possible. So you can see 5 of probably the many reasons why the Eko Atlantic project, conceived since 2003, hasn't been nearing progress or completion, with the goal of 300,000 residents and 200,000 daily commuters. But what many people do not realize is in the value of Eko Atlantic City is that it is a special economic zone, which means it is a free zone. So all investors in Eko Atlantic get free zone benefits like 0 withholding tax on dividends, 0 corporate income tax on free zone income, 0 VAT on purchases made within the free zone, 0 custom duties on imports, exemption of FX control and de-dollarization policies. This is for companies that form a free zone enterprise and register that free zone enterprise in Eko Atlantic after buying land there. And this is the reason why Eko Atlantic is a dollar market. But another free zone in Lagos that seems to be doing much better than Eko Atlantic City is Alaro City at Ilamija before Ekpe, Lagos State. And in contrast to Eko Atlantic City, they seem to be doing the opposite of every single point on why Eko Atlantic seems to be failing. And the first thing they are doing right is that Alaro City is much more affordable, and it's at the affordable end of the market. So you have low density plots going for as low as $60,500. Commercial plots are between $180 to $200 per square meters. Compare this to Eko Atlantic where the list price goes for $1,050 per square meter, and the top goes for $30,000 close to the marina, $30,000 per square meters. The highest prices in Alaro go for between $300 to $400 per square meters, and this for the land along the main boulevard, the largest private road in free zone access. The main boulevard being the highest standard in Alaro City's road hierarchy is an 8-lane, 60 meters right of way road, and will be the widest road in the Lekki free zone upon completion. Another thing Alaro City seems to be getting right is that they offer investors payment plan of up to 30 months, and with as little as a 10 to 15% initial deposit. You can make an initial deposit and spread it over 12, 24, 30 months. Alaro City is only just 2,000 hectares as well, and so it's easier to manage. Divided into 5 phases, phase 1 is already sold out. Alaro City is also debt-free, and the board of directors and investors made up of some Fortune 500 CEOs are privately funding this project with no external debt. So infrastructure development is going at the required and fast pace. Alaro City also has a development timeline for investors that's part of the term sheet and part of your contract before you buy, that states that you would start developing in between 12 to 24 months. This means that investors cannot speculate or just sit on land for years without development. And as the land and the estate continues to develop, the value goes up and it draws more and more investment. Are there some lessons Eko Atlantic can learn from Alaro City? Which do you prefer, Eko Atlantic or Alaro City? Which are you interested in? Talk to me and we can get you started on your journey. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, kindly share, kindly subscribe, and I will see you at the very next video. This is the Ownahome.ng TV show. Here at Ownahome, believe that owning a home, owning a property should not make you lose sleep. So we are committed to giving you the very best property recommendations and insider real estate gist. Thank you so much for watching. See you at the very next video. Bye-bye.